Despite its childish and wildly immature nature, Talking with Dinosaurs is not intended for children. It has blasphemy, sweary words, sexy talk, and bad thoughts. It is for entertainment purposes only, and while care has been taken to keep information as accurate as possible, paleontology is an ever-growing field with new data and theories constantly changing how we see these prehistoric monsters, so we make no guarantees about accuracy. Not that it matters, paleontologists are just making it all up as they go along anyway. And to my mum, I'm still very, very sorry. Kia ora koutou! Guess who's back with another episode of Talking with Dinosaurs, the world's #1 rated not safe for work comedy dinosaur podcast hosted by a New Zealander. That's right, it's me! At least I hope it is. This is my podcast. Who else is doing episodes? Dan? Oh, you're a real glory hog, Dan. Make your own damn podcast. I'm not going to beat around the bush too long with a cold open this week because I've spent a bit of time gardening and I'm sick of the bush, so let's get right to it. This episode's entry is another entrant in the name constantly used incorrectly competition. You yourself have even used this name incorrectly. I mean, maybe not recently, but I can guarantee you have at some point. I'm talking about the terrific Pterodactyl. The Pterodactyl is the first discovered member of the pterosaur family, and arguably the most iconic. Now, I hope you are listening in episode 15, that's Quetzalcoatlus, if you haven't memorized every episode yet. Though, if not, why not? Now, I did say there would be a test at that point. Yes, that's right, I'm testing you on something I told you 5 months ago. And if you fail, you have to go listen to the episode again, and again, and again, until you get it right. No one said listening to podcasts was fair, did they? What did I tell you? Pterosaurs are not dinosaurs. Yes, that's right. That wasn't too hard now, was it? Pterosaurs aren't dinosaurs. They are a distinct lineage that split from the dinosaur ancestors at roughly the same time crocodilians did. Pterodactyl is fairly commonly used to mean any kind of pterosaur by average people who aren't obsessed with prehistoric creatures. I'm normally a big fan of descriptive language over prescriptive language. And ain't no one gonna change that anytime soon, but when it comes to science, language needs to be very exact. It's no big deal when your technophobic Aunt Serena calls her Android tablet an iPad, but if a doctor were to write tummy cancer on a patient's chart, that could cause some problems. What even is a tummy? Is it the stomach? Is it the intestines? The general abdominal cavity? Better just remove the whole lot just to be safe. Pterodactyls became synonymous with pterosaurs in general because pterodactyls were the first pterosaurs to be described, all the way back in 1784 in Bavaria. Caused a lot of confusion when it first appeared, with various scientists deciding that pterosaurs were cephalopods, or possibly some kind of amphibian. It wasn't until 1800 that someone looked at this specimen and said, "Hey, that weird finger would make a good wing." Oh yeah, unlike modern birds, who use their whole arm and hand as the wing, pterosaurs use their arm for a leg, and turn it into a wing by connecting a frankly absurdly long finger to their hips. That's part of the reason early researchers had such a hard time figuring out what they were, because the fingers just looked, well, stupid. Imagine if your pinky was as long as the rest of your arm put together, and was webbed into your waist. Now imagine you're a bright pink alien at the same time. Congratulations, you're now Dinosaur, one of the silliest superheroes ever made. Now that is a Marvel deep cut. Right, let's get back to it. After a comedy of errors in which it was believed that the original specimen was captured by Napoleon and shipped to France, only to discover that it had been in Bavaria the whole time, just sort of hanging out, it was named Pterodactyl in 1809. and Pterodactyl became a bit of a wastebasket taxon, with anything that looked remotely winged reptile-y just sort of getting thrown in there. It wasn't until very recently that paleontologists decided that there was only one species of pterodactyl. Oh, sorry, that looks like it's 3 species of pterodactyl? No, 2 species of pterodactyl. No, 1? Okay, so they're not 100% sure how many kinds of pterodactyl there are. But, they know it's definitely less than 4, unless it isn't. Shit, I don't know. One thing that does surprise a lot of people about it is the size. True adult pterodactyls were about the size of a large house cat. Way less adorable though, and probably less damaging to native fauna if introduced into an ecosystem with no natural predators. Not my kitty though, she's a good girl. She go meow. Say meow, kitty. God damn it, this would be the only episode I don't have to constantly edit out 30 different meows while recording. She does this deliberately, she's the devil. Pterodactyls are believed to have breeded seasonally, like many modern birds do, due to the fact that they tend to be found in year groups, collections of them that all seem to be the same age. This makes it fairly obvious they were probably all born at the same time, and by that reasoning, they were all probably conceived at the same time. The most likely reason is seasonal mating, but it could also be caused by mass pterodactyl orgies. I'm not going to bother describing how a mass pterodactyl orgy looks. We've all seen them. You've also seen what a pterodactyl looks like, I'm sure. It's got the long face. It's got the crest on its head, little wings, silly little legs. It is smaller than you thought, I'm sure. I'm not going to teach your grandma how to suck eggs, even the eggs of long extinct flying reptiles. I should probably give the pterodactyl a rating at this point. I won't, but I should. Ha! Time for question time. Oh, fine. I will then. Fine. 8 out of 10. Stupid extinct pigeon. Now, actually time for question time this time. After the break.
This is Kim, your friendly neighborhood ER nurse. I'm the host of People Are Wild, the only podcast that claims to bring medical entertainment, medutainment, on a weekly basis. I can be found on your favorite podcast listening app, iTunes and Google Play, and you can talk to me on Twitter at People Are Wild.
Our 2 questions this week come from David Deris. David asks, what is the smartest dinosaur? Now that is a really difficult question, because I'm not the smartest dinosaur. But not only is it really difficult to measure intelligence in creatures that have been extinct for tens of millions of years, it's really difficult to judge intelligence at all. While brain cavity size is an indication of how smart a dinosaur may have been, it's really hard to say. All estimations do seem to point, though, to them making piles of bricks look like geniuses in comparison. The usual answer to this question of the smartest dinosaur, the Troodon, who will feature in a future episode, and I think I've mentioned a couple times before, have a brain cavity to body size ratio about the same as that of an opossum. And speaking as someone in New Zealand who has spent a lot of time seeing dead possums, they're not the smartest things. Some who apparently study things like these reckon that the T-Rex was probably about as smart as a young kitten. But it's really the Stegosaurus who really gets shat on in these sort of comparisons. It had a brain the size of a walnut and the body the size and weight of a goddamn bus. But it was still smart enough to not only use its thagomizer to drive off predators, but was able to figure out how to reproduce while being spikier than the 70s punk show. I mean, we can't figure out how they do it, so they must have done something right. In the end, though, I would say the smartest dinosaurs were probably the ones who figured out how to survive the mass extinction 65 million years ago, and evolved to become modern-day birds. Let's move on to David's second question here, which is, I know the technology isn't quite there yet, but if it were, which dino do you think would be the best candidate for the army to resurrect and weaponize? Oh, you thought you could put one over on me, David? I'm not giving the US Army my secret plans for war dinosaurs. Even the combined might of the reptiloid Columinato and Universal Pictures wasn't able to steal that from me. What makes you think you are any different? I am a pacifist, and I'll fight you to the death for the right to not fight you to the death? Doesn't matter, there's no way you'll get me to blab that they should recreate Ankylosaurus, because big swingy tails goes thump-thump on the bad guys' heads, and bullets go bang, bang, bounce, bounce off its nice, strong back. Oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. Quick, as a distraction, let's head over to our other section, Great Contributions to Dinosaur Science, by non-paleontologists, because fuck those guys. This week's award goes jointly to Mookie Wilson, the 86 Mets, and the Village Voice newspaper. What? Okay, wait. No, this seems to check out. Bear with me here. You may have seen an image floating around on the internet showing Mookie Wilson, centre fielder for the aforementioned 86 Mets. For my listeners in real countries, the Mets are apparently a baseball team. You know, that's the sport that's a crappy knockoff of cricket where their egos are so small they don't bother inviting any other countries to the World Series, just in case they lose. Anyway, here's one of those online memes that the kids are always going on about these days, with a picture of a newspaper article with an interview from Mookie saying, I comfort myself by saying that if I believe in dinosaurs, then somewhere they must be believing in me. And if they believe in me, then I can believe in me too. Now that is glorious. 10 out of 10. It's exactly the content I'm looking for online. So I did a little digging. I needed to know about Mookie. Is he still alive? Is he single? Will he be the person to believe in me the way he believes in dinosaurs? Are his eyes as dreamy as they look in a low-resolution JPEG of a 30-year-old newspaper? Well, good news is he's still alive, but unfortunately he's also been married since 1978. The bully. Getting my hopes up like that. Probably for the best though. My fiancée probably wouldn't be happy if I eloped with another 62-year-old ex-American sports star. But anyway, I found the article that the quote comes from in the Village Voice, an alternative weekly newspaper from the US. The article is amazing. It features dinosaur-related quotes from the entire 86 Mets team, each of which is funnier than the last. Unfortunately, it also turned out to be satire. None of it's true. Why then am I including them in this section if they had nothing to do with it, and it didn't actually in any way affect dinosaur science? Well, there's two reasons for that, dear listener. One, shut up. And two, it's my show. I'll do what I want. Deal with it. What are you going to do? Make your own dinosaur podcast? Please don't do that. This is my thing. My thing. Don't start your own, please. Make one about, I don't know, movies. I don't think anyone's made a podcast about that yet. Okay, well, that's it for today, though. We're all done for another episode. So I'm going to shout out my usual thank yous to Electricity for the amazing theme song. Be sure to check them out on SoundCloud. And Adam Donahue for the logo and constant support. Remember to flick your questions through to me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I think all of those are at Talking Dinocast. Or you can email them to talkingwithdinosaurs@gmail.com. Oh, and make sure you join the Facebook group, Talking with Dinosaurs Dinophiles Anonymous. It's always a good place to yarn about dinosaurs and about not dinosaurs, about anything at all, really. Go on, join us. You can tell me about what dinosaurs you want to hear about, and what legends should get the recognition usually afforded to those glory hog paleontologists, like Dan. Damn it, Dan. I also have something else I'd thought I'd mention. This is something I've sort of avoided in the past, and it's not something I've really wanted to do, but I have had a couple of people ask about donating money to the show. In the past, I've always suggested they donate to their local museum or a charity instead, because they actually use the money for good instead of making dinosaur penis jokes on the internet. But at the moment, I am saving up to get better quality gear, so I stopped sounding like I'm recording through a pair of 1954 Doc Martens boots hooked up to a car's radiator in the general vicinity of a broken PS2 microphone. As such, I've started a Ko-Fi where you can donate small amounts of money to me that will go towards that. I will mention that no one's obligated to donate. I don't expect anyone to, and I'd still prefer if you donated to a local museum or charity. This is just so if you do believe for some weird reason that it's worth throwing a few dollars my way to make this sound better than two gargoyles gargling, as opposed to, making the world a better place, you've now got a way to do so. I'd like to reinforce this podcast is free, and it will stay that way. I just really... I don't like asking for money, and this isn't asking for money. It's just letting you know you can give me money if you're the kind of weirdo who does that sort of thing. Huh. I guess this is what it feels like to sell out. Doesn't actually feel that bad. Oh well, that's all I've got for today. Ka kite anō. I've been Stefan Ato, and we've been Talking with Dinosaurs.